Imagine if you could reliably study every single day for 10 hours, never burn out, and keep working at this high level. I'm Salim, a final year medical student, but I've also spent the last 8 years at university doing my undergrad and postgraduate degrees before this. So I've spent a lot of time to figure out a reliable way to study for hours, learning the hard way by trying pointless study techniques, to finally discover this one principle that means I can focus on my work for hours, whilst also keeping up with everything else in my personal life. And the first thing I want to start off with is that if you're one of the students wanting to study 10 hours a day, you're very ambitious. But I'm guessing you're here because you likely end up failing to do this after a few days because you've burned out. And part of this is because when you focus on time, you're missing the most important measurement. It doesn't matter if you work 10 hours a day if you're only doing it for half a week. That's not what is going to help you pass your exams or get anything done long term. There's something even more important to consider when it comes to studying, and that can either keep you consistently working hard or burning out after a few days. And this is going to sound weird, but let me give you an analogy so that you can understand why this is the most important thing to focus on, even more than time. So let's say you're going to do an assignment and spend an hour on it, but there are two scenarios, each with a different person. Person A has just woken up, drank some water, and is feeling fresh and ready to go. They then spend an hour doing an assignment and their focus is good the whole time. Then with person B, it's the opposite. They've had a long day at university and then in the last hour of their day before they sleep, they tried doing the assignment. Which person is going to do more work? Person A is obviously going to have a much higher quality of work by a significant margin. So person A's 1 hour is completely different to person B's 1 hour. So it's not about time at all. It's about the energy that you have during that time that determines how much work you actually get done. This is why everyone that tries to work 10 hours a day fail after a few days. They aren't doing the right things that keep their energy levels high and they burn all of their fuel. But if you know the right things to do, you can keep your energy levels high so you can make sure that every hour you're working is high quality and so you can work for more hours. And the first tip to help you do this is to plan your study timetable in advance. One of the most underrated energy drains in our lives are our decisions. We think a lot about doing the work itself, but decisions take so much of our energy because we get stressed about whether we are or aren't doing the right things. This is the principle of decision fatigue. The more decisions you have to make during the day, the more tired you get. So if you make all your decisions before, your energy just goes into studying rather than deciding what to study. And the second tip follows on exactly from this principle. Schedule regular breaks intentionally. Don't leave it up to when you feel like taking a break because that's another decision. And also you're just reinforcing the habit of listening to your feelings, which are always going to stop you working. Think about yourself like a lidded pot of water over a fire. Every hour you spend working, it's like an hour over the fire and the water starts boiling up. If you don't lift the lid to release the pressure regularly, then the water will boil over. But if you do lift the lid regularly, then you can stay on the fire for longer. So schedule in breaks to do things that energize you, not things like scrolling or watching TV. Do things that actually relax you, like walking, reading, or talking to friends. And talking to friends links to my final tip. A lot of our energy is used up in emotions and stress and anxiety about the work we have to do. Remember that energy is not just taken from doing work, but also stressing about work. So if you do find yourself being stressed, you need to remove that psychological energy drain. So speak to your friends or someone that is there for you so that you can offload that stress and feel better rather than keeping it in your brain, which keeps you anxious and drains your energy every day. I noticed in some videos, a lot of you comment about your stress and you reply to each other. And I've seen how much just doing that helps, so you'd be surprised how talking to someone makes a big difference, even if they can't give you an immediate solution. And now one of the best ways to reduce stress is actually just knowing how to study in the most effective way, which is also going to guarantee that you can pass the exam or assignment that's stressing you out. Over the past 8 years at university, I've spent a lot of time trying out hundreds of study tips and hacks, and I've narrowed down to just 5 study tips that actually work. So click the video on screen to learn about these 5 study tips so that you can get more work done in less time.